22 times in 2025, a cruise ship became something passengers never signed up for. Not a floating resort, not a tropical escape. A vessel where hundreds of people found themselves trapped with a microscopic enemy that spreads faster than gossip and hits harder than any storm. 22 outbreaks of gastrointestinal illness, severe enough to trigger mandatory reporting to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. More than 2,000 people sickened. And a record that nobody in the cruise industry wanted to set. The year began badly and never really recovered. In the first week of January alone, 4 ships reported outbreaks. The Sea Cloud Spirit, a luxury sailing vessel carrying just 93 passengers on a Caribbean voyage, saw 28 crew members fall ill. That is 30% of the crew. The cause was not norovirus, but ciguatera, a toxin found in contaminated reef fish. Someone ate something that should not have been served, and within days, nearly a third of the people responsible for running the ship were incapacitated. On the same day that the Sea Cloud Spirit departed, Silversea's Silver Ray began a 16-day voyage that would end with 51 passengers sick from E. coli. Holland America's Volendam set sail on a 21-day journey that would be remembered not for its ports of call, but for the 93 passengers and 11 crew members who spent much of it vomiting. Viking Mars departed on a 2-week cruise through the Caribbean and returned with 62 passengers and 9 crew members, having experienced what the CDC clinically describes as diarrhea and vomiting as the predominant symptoms. January was not an anomaly. It was a preview. By the time February arrived, the Coral Princess had already logged 1 outbreak and was about to experience another. The Princess Cruises ship sailed a Panama Canal itinerary from San Francisco to Fort Lauderdale, and by the time it docked, 59 passengers and 12 crew had reported symptoms. The ship was cleaned, restocked, and sent back out on another Panama Canal voyage. 16 days later, it arrived in Fort Lauderdale again with 69 passengers and 13 crew sick. Same ship. Same route, different passengers, same result. Holland America's Rotterdam experienced outbreaks on back-to-back voyages in February and again in March. Royal Caribbean's Radiance of the Seas reported cases during a week-long cruise from Tampa. Holland America's Eurodam joined the list. By the end of March, the CDC had logged more outbreaks in 3 months than it typically records in an entire year. And then came the Queen Mary II, Cunard's flagship ocean liner, the vessel that carries the legacy of transatlantic crossings and the golden age of sea travel, departed Southampton on March 8th, bound for the Caribbean. 29 nights. 9 countries. Ports including New York, St. Martin, St. Kitts, Barbados. The kind of voyage that costs thousands of dollars and promises memories to last a lifetime. By March 18th, 10 days into the journey, passengers were making memories they desperately wanted to forget. 224 of the 2,538 passengers fell ill. 17 crew members out of 1,232 reported symptoms. Nearly 9% of everyone aboard was experiencing violent vomiting and diarrhea while trapped on a ship in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. The Queen Mary II had to undergo an intensive deep cleaning while docked in Barbados. Passengers were told to vacate their cabins during the 3.5-hour sanitation effort. The irony was not lost on anyone. People who had paid premium prices for a luxury cruise were being asked to leave their rooms so crews could scrub away the evidence of what their voyage had become. This was not the Queen Mary II's first outbreak of the season. In December 2024, the ship had experienced 2 consecutive voyages with norovirus. The March outbreak made 3 in 4 months for Cunard's most prestigious vessel. The numbers kept climbing through spring. Seabourn Encore reported an outbreak in late March. Viking Polaris logged cases in April. Lindblad Expeditions' National Geographic Sea Lion, a small expedition vessel carrying nature enthusiasts along the Pacific coast, reported an outbreak with an unknown causative agent. Holland America's Eurodam appeared on the list again in April, and the Zuiderdam, which had been sailing a world cruise since January, finally crossed the 3% threshold that triggers CDC notification. By May, when the Regent Seven Seas Explorer reported its outbreak, The industry had already matched the total from all of 2024, and the year was not even half over. What made 2025 different was not just the volume of outbreaks, but what was causing them. For more than a decade, a strain of norovirus called GII.4, specifically the Sydney variant, had dominated outbreaks worldwide. Scientists understood it. Cruise lines knew how it spread. Public health officials had protocols built around its behavior. Then came GII.17. This variant had circulated at low levels for years, occasionally causing outbreaks in Asia, but never gaining a foothold in the West. That changed dramatically in 2024 and accelerated through 2025. According to CDC research published in the journal Emerging Infectious Diseases, GII.17 accounted for less than 10% of norovirus outbreaks during the 2022-2023 season. By the 2024-2025 season, it was responsible for 75%. The shift happened fast. In the 2022-2023 season, GII.4 caused nearly half of all outbreaks, while GII.17 caused fewer than 8%. The following season, they were nearly tied. By 2024-2025, GII.17 had taken over completely, and GII.4 had dropped to barely 10. This matters because immunity to one strain does not necessarily protect against another. Most adults have been infected with norovirus multiple times in their lives. Their immune systems learn to recognize GII.4. But GII.17 has a different capsid structure, a different protein code. Antibodies developed from previous infections may not recognize it. People who thought they had some protection suddenly found themselves vulnerable again. The pandemic may have made things worse. 3 years of social distancing, mask wearing, and reduced travel meant 3 years of reduced norovirus exposure. Population immunity waned. When cruising resumed at full capacity and a new dominant strain emerged simultaneously, the conditions were perfect for explosive spread. Scientists describe norovirus as the Ferrari of viruses. It is extraordinarily efficient at what it does. An infected person can shed billions of viral particles in their stool and vomit. It takes exposure to as few as 10 particles to cause an infection. The math is terrifying. One sick person produces enough virus to theoretically infect millions. The virus survives on surfaces for days or weeks. It resists many common disinfectants. Alcohol-based hand sanitizers, the ones cruise ships place at every entrance and encourage passengers to use constantly, are not particularly effective against norovirus. Only vigorous washing with soap and water for at least 20 seconds reliably removes the particles. On a cruise ship, where thousands of people share buffets, handrails, elevator buttons, casino chips, pool deck chairs, and restroom facilities, the opportunities for transmission are endless. The turnover is constant. One cruise ends, 2,000 passengers disembark, 2,000 new passengers board. And if the virus is still present in the environment, the cycle begins again. The Oceania Insignia provided a case study in October. The small luxury vessel departed Montreal on October 16th for an 11-night voyage to Boston, sailing through Quebec and the Canadian Maritimes during peak autumn foliage season. By October 20th, 4 days into the journey, the CDC was notified that 74 passengers out of 637 had reported symptoms. That was 11.6% of passengers, nearly 4 times the 3% threshold for mandatory reporting. The outbreak continued even as the ship made its scheduled port calls. When the Insignia arrived in Portland, Maine on October 26th, city officials had to decide whether to allow a vessel with an active norovirus outbreak to dock. They consulted with the CDC, which confirmed that the ship's crew was responding appropriately. Cases had declined to 8 passengers in required isolation. The ship was allowed to dock, but residents were notified. Some questioned whether tourists from an infected vessel should be wandering through their city. The Insignia outbreak eventually sickened 88 passengers out of 637, a rate of nearly 14%. It was the highest percentage of any cruise ship outbreak in 2025, and among the highest the CDC had recorded in years. November brought the Ida Diva, a German cruise ship operated by Ida Cruises. The vessel departed Hamburg on November 10th for a 36-day voyage to England, the United States, Mexico, and Costa Rica. By November 30th, 95 passengers and 6 crew had reported illness. The ship continued its itinerary, which included a stop in Santa Barbara, California, where local officials debated whether to welcome a vessel carrying a known outbreak. The Ida Diva docked as scheduled. Officials emphasized that sick passengers remained quarantined aboard and that enhanced cleaning protocols were in place. But the questions persisted. Should ships with active outbreaks be allowed to continue their voyages? Should ports have the authority to refuse entry? Who bears responsibility when a cruise ship becomes a vector for disease transmission into a community? December added 2 more outbreaks to the tally. The Celebrity Eclipse reported 95 passengers and 9 crew sick on a voyage that ended just before New Year's Eve. The Ida Diva's outbreak continued to grow, with final counts reaching 106 passengers and 8 crew. 22 outbreaks. The most the CDC had ever recorded since it began publicly tracking cruise ship gastrointestinal illness in 1994. More than 1,200 people sickened aboard vessels where they had paid for relaxation and received misery instead. The cruise industry was quick to provide context. 20 million passengers departed from North American ports in 2024. The percentage who experienced a reported outbreak was tiny, a fraction of a percent. Norovirus causes an estimated 19 to 21 million illnesses in the United States every year, and cruise ships account for less than 1% of total cases. The industry argued that outbreaks are simply detected and reported more quickly on ships than on land, where the same virus spreads through schools, nursing homes, restaurants, and hospitals without triggering CDC notification. This is true as far as it goes. But it also misses the point of what passengers experience when an outbreak occurs. When norovirus spreads through a community on land, sick individuals can go home, isolate in their own bathrooms, recover in their own beds. They can avoid the people who made them sick. They can choose not to eat at the restaurant that served contaminated food. They have options. On a cruise ship, there are no options. You cannot leave. You cannot avoid the buffet because it is your primary source of food. You cannot avoid the hallways, the elevators, the public restrooms. You are trapped in a confined environment with the people who are spreading the virus and the surfaces that are harboring it. Your cabin becomes both refuge and prison, a place to suffer while the vacation you saved for continues without you. The economic loss is significant. A 7-day cruise can cost several $1,000s per person. Add flights, hotels before and after, excursions, onboard purchases. A passenger who spends 3 or 4 days sick in their cabin has lost money that will never be recovered. The cruise line may offer a credit for a future voyage, but for many passengers, the idea of getting back on a cruise ship after such an experience is unthinkable. There is no vaccine for norovirus, though candidates are in development. Moderna's mRNA-1403 is currently in Phase 3 clinical trials, using the same lipid nanoparticle technology as their COVID-19 vaccine. If it proves effective, it could be available within the next few years. But even if a vaccine works, scientists caution that it is unlikely to prevent all infections or completely stop transmission. Norovirus mutates. It evolves. A vaccine that protects against today's dominant strains may be less effective against tomorrow's. Until then, prevention relies on the oldest public health measure, washing hands, soap and water. 20 seconds. Before eating, after using the restroom, after touching any shared surface. It sounds simple, because it is simple. But on a cruise ship where the median passenger age skews older, where alcohol consumption is common, where the atmosphere encourages relaxation rather than vigilance, compliance is imperfect. The cruise lines have responded with enhanced protocols. More hand sanitizer stations. More crew members stationed at buffet entrances monitoring hygiene. Faster isolation of sick passengers. More aggressive cleaning between voyages. Some ships have added copper-infused surfaces in high-touch areas because copper naturally kills bacteria and viruses. Others have installed improved air filtration systems. Whether these measures will reduce outbreaks in 2026 remains to be seen. The factors that drove the 2025 surge, the emergence of GII.17, the waning population immunity, the post-pandemic surge in cruise bookings, are not going away. Cruise ships will continue to be environments where thousands of people share space in ways that facilitate viral transmission. Norovirus will continue to be one of the most contagious pathogens humans encounter. The 2025 season ended with a record no one wanted. 22 outbreaks. A new dominant strain. Questions about whether the industry is doing enough and whether passengers fully understand the risks they accept when they board. For the more than 2,000 people who spent their vacations sick, the statistics offer little comfort. They paid for paradise and received something else entirely. They learned firsthand what happens when a microscopic organism that needs only 10 particles to cause infection finds itself in an environment with unlimited opportunities to spread. 22 outbreaks. 2,000 sick passengers. 1 year that the cruise industry will be working to forget even as 2026 brings whatever comes next.